Alright guys, welcome back to Urge. We have finally reached the release of the new Tasha's Cauldron of Everything book. Ooh. So we wanted to just do a quick run-through of all of the 22 brand new subclasses.
Right. No joke time for me.
We're gonna try to do... Okay, so I've had a chance to skim through all of them. Alex has not looked at pretty much any of them yet. So I have like a little summary for each of these subclasses. And I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what they are, and then Alex, we're going to kind of get maybe a reaction from Alex, his thoughts initial from hearing what it's kind of like. Ooh. And then also, of course, we're going to go through each of these subclasses individually, in-depth review like we've done for all of the other subclass videos. Of course. So we'll do that, and then the first one coming out with that, the Armorer, we will announce the winners of the giveaway on the Armorer video, so make sure you watch that one when that comes out. But guys, we're going to jump straight into it. We have 22 new subclasses and several reprints. I think there's 5 reprints as well. So, first up is the Artificer.
Yes.
Of course, you have the reprints of Alchemist and the Artillerist that are from Eberron, but the new subclass is the Armorer. So,
yes.
You can magically enhance and fuse your body with armor that can shapeshift to a tank, giving disadvantage to foes, or a sneakster that can mark targets and deal extra damage to foes, being able to switch forms on a short rest. So, basically Iron Man, right?
Right.
The Hulkbuster version, or the normal Mark.
Yeah. This is one of the 2 subclasses I had read through going to the video. I barely had time to do any reviews at all. And I immediately thought of what the guy from Infamous, for the whole lightning shock thing, enhanced armor or whatever. I thought of that to start with for that one, the whole infiltrator thing. But it's the thing to me with this as a whole. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. Is when we're adding new subclasses, new major content, is it needs to feel unique to me, where it stands out on its own. And Artillerist as the base class does, and I think this one does as well.
Yes, I agree. So those are the subclasses for the Artificer, short and sweet. Next we have the Barbarian, which has 2 new subclasses in it. The first is the Beast Barbarian. You can shapeshift into a ferocious beast when you rage, enabling a variety of new combat and movement options, in addition to being able to curse your target with rabid attacks and more additional features. So with this one, you can, when you rage, change into a beast, and you get additional options for claw or bite or tail, I believe are the 3 options on there. So just a few more bonuses to your rage.
Right.
So.
The other one I read and very quickly enthused me with the amount of stuff it can do and the amount of ways it buffs not only you, but other members of your party at times,
And a little spoiler
here.
Which
is a rare thing in D&D 5e.
Until this book, because I'll give a little spoiler here. A lot of these subclasses are party-based bonuses, either granting defensive abilities, giving allies armor class, giving our allies something we've not seen, I don't think, is obscurement. So partial cover.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, some of these subclasses, but we'll kind of get into those in depth when we go over the individual subclasses.
I imagine this when I read this one is a barbarian meets a monk meets a lycanthrope. Kind of all rolled into one together.
If you take a shifter, if you're a shifter,
shapeshift or the
shifter form, or the rage,
the race out, the Simic hybrid out of the Guilds of Ravnica book, where you've got an appendage of choice. Kind of feels like that, but very, very intrigued about doing that video.
Yes.
Now all the rest of these are fresh for me. So
yes.
Here we go.
All right. So the next Barbarian is Wild Magic. Wild Magic
Sorcerer? Or...
Yes. So this is actually, before I get into the description in here, this is interesting because usually when you're playing a Barbarian, we have the ability to spell cast. So specifically, if you're raging, you can't cast spells or whatever.
Correct.
So
it's my first...
And you still don't cast spells, but you get some similar effects of some interesting things on here. But Wild Magic surges from you as you emit random effects based on a D8 when you rage, and give magical bonuses to allies, allowing them to recover things like spell slots. So one of the things on there is you can roll. It's very strange because it has you roll a D3, which I don't know why they didn't just make it a D4 and you re-roll a 4. I mean, you're gonna have to basically just roll a D6 and be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, or something. Because no one has okay. If you have a D3
Show it.
I want to see it because
Like, post that bad boy in the comment section.
I'm trying to think of
right
how that would
now.
even work. Like, how would you even? You know what I mean? Like, you can't. You can't have a D3.
I don't know.
It'd be like a triangle, but nothing on the sides. So it'd be like,
I mean,
I don't know.
Basically, it'd be a D4 that has one side that does nothing. Almost.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
like
but
it's a
inside-
reroll,
it'd have to-
essentially.
It'd have to be like a tube, like a triangular tube with nothing on the ends. And then you just roll the tube, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Triangular
It'd be
prism.
weird. So yeah,
Is what it would
that'd
be.
interesting. So
Nothing on the sides.
Anyways.
That's pretty much it.
But when you rage, you get like abilities, bonus abilities that happen when you rage that can trigger randomly. And then when you get higher levels, it's like you roll twice and you can choose one of the two. So you get a little bit more control over
Just
it.
like Wild Magic Sorcerer.
Yes, it's basically Wild Magic Sorcerer Barbarian version.
Sounds like an absolute chaotic fun.
Yes, it's kind of crazy. So
Look forward to that
definitely
one. Next.
Next, we have the Bard, which has two subclasses in it. One is a reprint, which is the Eloquence Bard, which was reprinted from Theros, the Theros book that just recently came out. And then the new Bard is the Creation Bard. So you can create magical motes when you inspire allies that provide additional benefits based on how the inspiration is used. And you also gain the ability to animate items to fight with you in battle.
Okay.
So you can like animate like a chair or something.
Yeah.
It's a dancing item and it has a stat block and everything that can fight with you in battle.
All right.
And
So
then
we're
the
talking like
motes-
some Beauty of the Beast. All the stuff's animated and dancing around.
kind of. But also, like,
Okay.
when you inspire someone, they get additional benefits based on what they use that inspiration for. So, like, if it's for an attack roll, you get a certain bonus. If it's for a saving throw, you get a different
Oh,
bonus.
wow.
So you get different uses. So you kind of like think, do I
All
want to
right.
use it now or later? There's
They've
other
got me
use.
sold because I like versatility.
Yes, it is definitely interesting.
All right.
Next, we have the Cleric, which has the Order domain, which is reprint from Ravnica.
Right.
And then we have two new subclasses. The first is the Peace domain.
Okay.
You can form bonds between allies, providing healing, protection, and empowering them to strike more effectively. Now, this one was kind of hard to give a summary for without just straight up saying everything because it's kind of like, you can, I believe if I remember correctly, because again, I just skimmed over all of these, so I'm going to try to go from memory. You can link yourself with different allies and like you can teleport to them and absorb a hit, or you can link allies together where they can also, like, if an ally's going to take damage, then they get hit, and if some person they're linked with is within 30 feet, they can teleport within 5 feet of them to defend them, and then they take the hit instead. So it's kind of like this battlefield control healing hybrid kind of cleric thing. It's very strange. But interesting.
Strange is a good word.
I think it could be like the discipline priest version.
Oh gosh, he went there.
Oh,
He
cleric.
put disco priest.
Because it's got the healing. It's not life domain, right?
Right.
It has a healing similar to life domain in similar ways, but also it has some damaging stuff on there as well. Like it gives bonuses to cantrip damage and some of those things that we've seen before. So kind of strange, but
Yeah, super unique so far.
Then we have the Twilight domain.
Okay.
You become a master of the night, gaining incredible dark vision, proficiency in heavy armor and martial weapons, the ability to call on the night to fly, and a sphere of twilight to protect your allies. Now, this is one of the ones I was talking about that gives like partial cover. That sphere gives partial cover to allies within a radius. And also, you gain the ability to fly. When you're in like a shadow, you can call on the shadow to like get wings, and you can fly for a period of time.
So he's Batman.
Yeah,
He
kind of.
is the knight.
It's something like that. Also, they have 300-foot dark vision, and you can grant it to allies, I believe. So it's got some interesting utility stuff on here. So
Far.
yeah, you can see for a while, and yeah,
Okay.
and of course heavy armor and martial weapons, so you can get in there and do some.
Be afraid to mix it up
with the ability to fly later on. So definitely interesting.
Well.
Then we have the Druid, which has 3 subclasses. One is a reprint, which is the Spores Druid from Ravnica.
Right.
The 2 new subclasses are the Stars, Circle of the Stars. You can form a bond with the stars and gain the ability to shift into a variety of starry forms and create a star map to guide you in your adventures in various ways. So think kind of like a boomkin, but instead of only...
Wow references, people.
Hey, the new expansion is coming out soon. It's on the mind.
Yeah, that's right.
You have... I think there's 3 different versions of the starry form that you can change into based on the situation.
Okay.
And use your wild shape to do so. So it gives you an alternate use for your wild shape because
Versatility,
if
people.
you are not the Circle of the Moon Druid, wild shape is kind of lackluster.
It's RP exclusive.
Pretty much.
It has no combat use, pretty much.
So, and the starter map thing kind of gives you some different ways to interact with the world around you. Some interesting RP options on there. It's kind of hard to.
That feels almost kind of like divination wizardy to me. Like as far as in theme of like,
it is a little bit.
Read the stars, predict the future, guidance kind of thing. I don't know.
Right.
I have to form analogies between stuff to help my brain try to wrap its head around like complex situations.
Then the next druid is the Circle of Wildfire. Actually, I think this one's pretty interesting. You can summon a wildfire spirit companion that grows in power with you and gain the ability to control flames to heal allies and incinerate your foes. So this is another kind of damage and healing variety.
Disco druid.
Yes, something like that. But the spirit companion is similar to, like, we saw the Battlesmith Artificer, and there's some new other options for some growing, scaling pets as well in this book, which are interesting. So it's interesting. I think there's things with dealing with when you deal damage or kill things with fire, you can like heal allies or hurt enemies, things like that. So there's some interesting little ways to get some environmental play in there. Then with the fighter, we have the Fae Warrior. You gain abilities through psionic energy to dominate the battlefield by protecting allies with force fields and damaging foes with psychically enhanced attacks or telekinetic assaults. So again, another one of these subclasses that has ways to give bonuses to allies within a range. Mm-hmm. And also the psionic energy works similarly to the Battlemaster fighter, where you have like psionic energy die that you expend to do different things with it. So it's like a variation of a Battlemaster.
Like your Battlemaster maneuvers?
Yeah, it's similar in that. So, a variation to the Battlemaster, essentially. A little bit more on the magical. It's kind of like a mix between Eldritch Knight and Battlemaster. It's kind of like somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Then we also have the Rune Knight. Empower your gear with magic runes from the giants and harness the power of the giants themselves to become a fearsome warrior on the battlefield. So essentially with this one, you find like somehow you come across ancient giant magic, essentially, and you can empower your gear to give different bonuses, and you also get things where you take on some forms of the giants. So like you grow taller, you get a little bit more beefier. So
again,
nice
the WoW references are going to continue. You're telling me they get to go Avatar, what you're telling me.
Yeah, something like that. So
this I know this specifically is one, at least in title, that has been tossed around for a long time. People have asked for like a Rune Knight kind of thing of sorts.
Yes.
Maybe not, and again, because I haven't read it, how it's actually mechanically put together and built. I know this has been one that's been on the docket for a while.
Right. It's kind of similar to, on a very smaller scale, like an Artificer where they can infuse items, but it's a different feel to that.
Right.
Then we have the Monk, which has two new subclasses as well. The Mercy Monk. Acquire a special mask to provide healing to support allies and deal fierce necrotic damage to your enemies. So another one of these healing damage hybrid things. And the mask it's kind of like trying to pull on the whole the old school. I'm drawing a blank. Like the old school doctors where they have like the pointed white mask.
Oh, the plague doctors.
Yes. Okay. So that kind of deal there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that feel to it.
Okay.
So you kind of have like this. You're kind of like part of a group of people, kind of thing. It kind of leaves it open ended, like they usually do with these kind of things.
It's a cult.
But but you can expend key points to like heal and deal extra damage on stuff. There's like a flurry of healing and damage. So it's like flurry of blows, but like you can heal and damage things and do like so some interesting little things on there. So the next one I think you'll actually appreciate quite a bit is the Astral Self Monk. You tap into the Astral to summon a visage of your Astral Self or gain extra Astral arms to overwhelm those who oppose you. So think Borderlands.
I was like, it's a Mara from Borderlands 3.
Some extra appendages that let you do some extra abilities on here, and you can also summon like an extra entity to fight with you. Kind of like not quite the same as like Echo Knight fighter, but in the vein of an ally kind of thing. That's an extra body on the battlefield that can do some extra abilities and things like that, which seems to be very common on this. So this is kind of like the DM's nightmare of subclasses, because a lot of these
hates this book.
Give you like summoning stuff or just so many ways. Like you're getting extra pet stuff, and summoning things, and all these like you can cast your spells from here or from this thing over here, and there's just lots to keep track of as a game, especially if like all of your players pick all these subclasses. They're like, I summon this, and I summon this, and I have a pet this, and you're like, And then they're like,
Excellent.
conjure animals. And I'm like, there are 100 things in the battlefield right now, so and you're fighting like one thing. So
combat's gonna take 45 minutes for 3 turns.
But yeah, just a nice little interesting thing on there. Paladin, we have 2 subclasses. One is a reprint of the Glory Paladin, which is from the Mythic Odysseys of Theros.
Yep.
And the new one is the Oath of the Watchers. Your attentive and vigilant eye prepares you for battle and rebukes otherworldly entities, banishing them back to wherever they came from and empowering your strikes against them.
So they have been sent to the wall, is what you're telling me.
Something like that.
Or I think of, oh goodness, the Horizon Walker Ranger from Xanathar's bonuses against things that are not of this plane.
It
almost.
is very similar to that.
Yeah. At least in flavor, I think.
Yeah, it's like the Celestials, Fiends, Aberrations, I believe, are the things that you get bonuses towards.
Mm-hmm.
And then like your Avatar state, where you go into level 20th Paladin.
It's a Paladin thing.
It's one of those things like when you have advantage on your attacks, and when you hit things, it has a chance to like just banish them if they're not from like every hit, and you have advantage. So it's
Bye, Felicia.
So yeah, you're doing some major crazies on there. But definitely interesting. I get some bonuses to like things like initiative and things like that. So just some ways to get you into the battle. Then the Ranger, we have 2 new subclasses as well. The Fae Wanderer is the first one. Empower your strikes with Fae magic and grant yourself supernatural charm, Fae protection, and the ability to blink around the battlefield in an instant. So think, well, I don't want to say too much on here. Your abilities that are going to give you things like Misty Step, that's going to be able to bamf you around the battlefield a little bit, to use a critical role term. And some dealing with the Feywild, you're going to get some bonuses to some charisma type abilities, hence the supernatural charm. And
so
some
there's
other
a
ways
lot
to
of RP stuff built into that
yes,
too.
and some ways to boost your defensive as well, which seems to be very common. There's lots of very defensive abilities, and almost all of these subclasses have some way to either give yourself defensive bonuses or your allies defensive bonuses. So they're playing really heavily into lots of these utility roles, which will be interesting to go over all those. Then we have the Swarm Keeper Ranger. Call on nature spirits to overwhelm your foes and gain additional magic from the swarm to assist you in combat. So you kind of got calling some buggies, little bug, swarm, and you learn extra spells, I believe, as well. Things like insect swarm, things like that.
Yeah.
Just to flavorful stuff as well.
You're a beekeeper.
Something like that. Then Rogue, almost done. Only a couple left, guys. There's a lot in this book. There are so many, and we will go through every single one of these reviews,
just like we have all the time. Absolutely.
So we'll go through each of the abilities and everything in depth. We're just trying to give you a nice overview here. So Rogue, we have 2 new subclasses. The first is the Phantom. Channel the power of the dead to torment enemies with necrotic damage.
Nope, I think he's hit it right the first time.
I was thinking about our Rogue. Sorry.
Yeah.
Snatch soul slivers of the recently deceased, granting additional benefits and partially phase into the realm of the dead. So you get some ways to have some extra shenanigans as a rogue. You can, when something dies, you can like take a sliver of their soul, and you have like a soul shard essentially that you can use for different things, different extra abilities that you can expend.
That's a WoW warlock taking soul shards like that.
Yeah, maybe they've been playing a lot of WoW too. I don't know, but yeah, definitely interesting on there.
We're about to be.
Then the next rogue subclass is the Soul Knife. You gain extra abilities through psionic energy, like summoning psychic blades and assaulting the minds of your enemies in a stunning way. Little preview for the capstone ability.
Oh.
There is indeed a way to, with the capstone ability of this, to stun enemies with your attack, which is absolutely ridiculous as a rogue because you already deal lots of damage. And another thing too, just a little spoiler on here, is you're dealing things with when you are doing sneak attack, where you can like psychically deal half of that to other targets. And yeah, so it's pretty gross. Yeah, I think that's going to be a very
rogues, man,
sought after subclass, I believe.
Yep.
Next, then we have the Sorcerer. There are 2 new subclasses. The Aberrant Mind. Gain psionic spells and abilities allowing you to shift your form, manipulate your sorcery points, and gain additional protections. So again, it's going to give you some ways to boost your defenses. You can use sorcery points to cast spells instead of your spell slots, so you don't have to like switch it over and lose that conversion, because there's a conversion loss and only a certain limit to those, so that gives you some extra spells that you can learn as well. And some of these spells in this new book are a little bit bonkers, so it'll be interesting.
He said bonkers.
So yeah, and as you can see, there's lots of like psionic, telekinetic theme going on in this book as well.
Right, mind stuff.
Yes. And then the second sorcerer is the Clockwork Sorcerer. Align with the plane of absolute order to manipulate events, enter a trance to enhance your combat focus, and summon modrons to assist in battle. So this one's got some interesting abilities on here. It's kind of got some of that feel of...
It's what's his face from League of Legends, whatever the clock mage is. I can't think what's his name?
I mean, I think Echo.
He's got the big white beard. Your guy.
Oh my gosh. Zillion, I think. Is what
yes, it's Zillion. Yes.
Yes.
The time grenades.
That's what's changed. It's kind of like the chronology wizard a little bit, with dealing with some time stuff, where not quite time stuff per se, but being able to remove advantage or disadvantage from targets, stuff like that can be interesting.
Absolutely, so, very helpful.
Then Warlock, almost through. 2 new subclasses. First is the Fathomless. Embrace the watery depths.
That's like I wonder. Okay, I already know who this is.
Yeah, right. It's basically Ford from Critical Role.
Yes,
that's his own special. But
yeah, that's not who I was thinking of.
Okay, I know what else. Gain extra appendages, extra benefits in water like swim speed and other things as well. Being able to teleport like medium range, like mile distances and things like that. Like teleport your party up to I think 5 creatures. To be able to get some like a free teleport a day, which you don't need a spell slot to do. So interesting.
I thought of like Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Yes. Like that's what I think of. His deal with like the otherworldly being is like the Kraken. That's where he gets his power from. That's the first thing I've heard of.
And of course, summon tentacles to protect you in combat because what's a water thing without tentacles?
Tentacles.
Right. And then the second Warlock is the Genie Warlock, which actually very interesting on this one. You can create a pact with a variety of different genie options, each with their own unique benefits, like empowering your attack, providing extra resistances, and even occasional small wishes.
Oh, for it.
Yeah, so some interesting things on here. And each of the different genie options gives you like a different bonus to your damage and a different resistance. So there's some different choices on here as well, depending on maybe your campaign setting or things like that. That might change your mind.
So you got subclasses within the subclass.
Yes.
Or at least variations within the subclass.
Yes. And then lastly, we have the Wizard. There are 2 subclasses on here. The first is the Blade Singing Wizard from Sword Coast, which was updated, though very slightly. Just a couple things. We'll go over that when we get to it. But it has been changed a little bit on there. And then second, the new subclass is the Order of Scribes Wizard. Awaken your spellbook and summon forth the spirit inside it to assist in combat and gain benefits when adding spells to your book. Also, the ability to summon a tiny quill pen. So you get some bonuses to copying spells into your book. You can animate the book itself to like be in combat. And another way to add something to combat is you can cast spells from either your location or its location, things like that. Ways to kind of manipulate your own battlefield a little bit more.
I'm naming mine Cheeto. And not like cheat. Like Cheeto is in like a cheat code. If you know that reference, put it in the comments. You will make me so very proud inside.
Well, that's all of it. We made it through all of the subclasses in the new book, and there are a ton.
22
new ones.
Double deuce. I think the biggest takeaway is that even the short description you've given for all of these, a lot of these do feel unique. And we'll both know more as he reads more into it, and I really start to dig into some of these. But even with the first 2 that I've read into, they feel like they stand out on their own.
Yeah, definitely.
And they feel, and a lot of times, because again, you can only reinvent the wheel so many times. Right. So what it seems like a lot of these newer subclasses are doing is taking bits and pieces from other things.
Right.
Maybe changing the ability a little bit. Maybe they empower ability and maybe get it later on.
Right.
And you may get a weaker version of that with a different subclass somewhere else earlier kind of thing. Yeah. To try to, create more. I've always wanted to play this, but I kind of would rather this kind of be a baseline of this.
Right.
I kind of always wanted to play a monk barbarian, but instead of having a multi-class, I kind of wish it was built into one. Oh, look, they kind of gave you this werewolf monk barbarian thing with Path of the Beast. So there's that. It seems like those are the kind of new options they're trying to give. It's kind of a little column A, little column B, and then there you go.
Yes. And they even have, as you can tell, there's lots of different themes. So like they have all the psionic subclasses. They're kind of like picking themes and like, okay, let's give one of these to X number of classes. Just kind of give you some ideas. I'm curious to see what they'll do with that in the future. Maybe they'll do that with some things that have already been done, like necromancy. They've done like the Undying Warlock and necromancy wizard and stuff like that, where there's different things like that. So, but a lot of new subclasses, a lot of great stuff on here. So if you guys enjoyed the video, I'm gonna wrap it up. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications to know if our new videos are coming out. There you go. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.